Welcome back to The Big Show. It's Alex Belfield talking to my favourite people and the country's best comedians, and Bill Bailey's definitely one of them. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
No, you're not.
I am.
No, you're not. I just heard that you fell over in the shower. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. No, generally I'm okay. You know, I did slip over in the shower, and I probably will have a nice bruise on me leg. But despite that rather sort of Jacques Tati-esque moment in my life, generally well, yeah.
Was anybody there to pick you up, or did you have to do it yourself?
Yeah, actually, no, there was. There was there's some bloke that came to sort of fix the electrics, and he was fiddling around with a plug out in the living room, and then all he heard was this crash, and we go, like that, and he came running in thinking that I'd been attacked. And helped me up, luckily.
Right, but, my next question, you know where this is going.
Oh, hello.
But were you somewhat exposed?
No, I know you would think that. No, I did actually have a towel wrapped round to preserve my dignity. And I had, I was, because as a frequent visitor to the Far East, I'm an expert at attaching the sarong. And so this skill has applied itself to the towel. So the towel remained firmly in place.
I did it about 10 years ago. I took the curtain with me and fell on the taps. That hurts.
Oh, no, you don't want to do that.
Dreadful.
No, because it's a stone floor. See, it's a kind of a whole room with a shower in it. So, you know, it's great. It's a great. I mean, in theory, the wet room, as it was, you know, is a good theory. Occasionally, I think the vehicular term for what I did was aquaplaning. I think that's what actually. I seemed to sort of hover across the floor. There was no sort of forward movement at all. It just seemed to be like the kind of, I stepped and suddenly I was moving as if on some kind of travelator, and then that was it. I had no control, no traction, left or right. And
just for total clarity, you weren't doing anything inappropriate at the time that could cause this accident?
No, I don't think I was. No, I mean, a bit of voguing, perhaps. But we all do that in the shower, surely.
Have you got one of those radios that's waterproof so that you can sit there and have a sing-along?
Oh, I listen, I'm way ahead of you there. I've got a little speaker built into the roof.
Wow.
Of the shower, yeah.
Are you living in a 5-star hotel at the moment? Is that what
yes.
you're telling me?
We've got tea and coffee making facilities in every niche and nook of the house.
Very good. How are you doing? We speak year in, year out, and you just get bigger and bigger and more popular. I'm not talking physically, you get bigger and bigger.
Well, there is a certain truth in that.
But the point is, your comedy seems to be timeless and people still enjoy you, and you're still selling out those West End gigs. Is it still fun being you?
It is, actually, yes. It's probably more fun as the years go on, really, because I sort of realise what I like doing and what I want to do, and I just focus on that. And so I really enjoy it, and I sort of, I suppose, concentrate more of my time on the things I like doing.
Do you get funnier?
Well, I don't know. I mean, whether one can ever be funnier. I certainly think that I probably care less about what people think, but I care more about the actual writing and the show, and so I think probably I spend more time on it. Perhaps that's it. I focus more on it, and certainly this show was a sort of a product of that. You know, I really wanted to make this show grow from a small venues all the way around tours through Scotland and the Highlands and Islands, and through Australia, New Zealand, before it came to the West End. Because you know, I did a tour a few years ago when I was playing arenas, and it was kind of exciting and also stressful, and it was a huge event for me playing these large venues, and certain times I just thought it's not an intimate gig. You know, what I actually was craving was being in a little room somewhere, a little theatre, and playing to a few people and trying stuff out and trying ideas out in front of me. And that's what I've done this year, is kind of almost get back to the roots of stand-up in a way, and rekindle that kind of the love and the passion for just turning up in a little place somewhere and almost having to win people over to your sort of style.
Thing is, though, speakers in the ceiling and wet rooms don't pay for themselves. Those arenas can help with that.
They do, of course they do, yes. Absolutely. I mean, you know, it'd be mad to say they don't. And that's what comedy's become in this you know, this day and age. You know, there's all comics, and every comedian worth his salt was playing in an arena. You know, you have to play in an arena. It's almost like there'll be stadiums next, and it'll be. And then where'd you go? The moon? I don't know.
If you've got those nice little, front row seats or whatever, it's okay. But I mean, if you're sat at the back of 15,000 people, I don't know why you don't just get the DVD and save yourself all that train fare.
Yes, well, that's it. You see, and I think what happened was after I did the arena tour, I then went to see a show in an arena. I should have done that before. Perhaps I should have done that the other way around. And then and thought, do you know what? I'm going to live the audience experience and see what it's like. And I went and and parked the car and went and got a drink and all that. And I was thinking, I don't like this at all. This is sort of processed through these big sheds, and it's not the same experience at all. And it's kind of, I suppose, I mean, there's so many venues and there's so many comics and so many shows, and there's every amount of size of venue and everything. But personally, for me, I wanted to really get back to those to feeling that I was almost having to prove yourself in a way that in an arena almost you don't, because in an arena people will have made that big commitment, that investment in the show because they're fans and they want to come along and enjoy it, have a night out. Whereas you don't really get the same connection with an audience that way.
We're back with Bill Bailey on your favourite local radio station. I mean, that is the big problem, isn't it, with people like you? If I come and see you in an arena, I got to get there 6 hours before because of the car park, and then I got to wait 10 hours afterwards to get home.
Yeah, I know, that's it. Or you pay the special deluxe package where you get beamed in.
Yes, helicoptered.
Or one of those things they used to have in shops where you've got put in a little sort of plastic pod and then fired down a tube by compressed air. I'd love to go to a gig like that.
That'd be marvellous.
And you just pop up in the front row.
Let's talk about your show, because the one thing that it does kind of suit arenas for is that it's musical at times. Yep. This new DVD I haven't seen because you're so important I can't see a copy until it's actually released, which is kind of annoying, so I can't compliment you on it. It could be rubbish and I could be endorsing nothing.
It was recorded in Dublin in the O2, and there was about 10,000 people there, and yes, so there we go. I've just completely contradicted myself.
Hello.
But the thing is, what I would say, I mean, the reason I recorded it there was that when you record a show, it does have an effect on the show, because you put lots of cameras on something, and people in the audience feel a bit sort of self-conscious and a bit like, oh, am I going to be filmed? Am I going to be on camera? And the lighting's different and everything. And when you do that in a small venue, I did that a few years ago in a smaller theatre, and in a smaller theatre, the cameras are so obvious, and cameramen are on the stage, and there's lights and everything, and people do feel a bit nervous about it, and you don't kind of get the same. You're not getting a genuine reaction from a crowd in a theatre that you would normally, because they're aware that this is going to be filmed, and there's a certain, I don't know, reticence, or maybe there's a certain sort of self-consciousness about it. If you put that in an arena, like say the O2, which is, although it is an arena, it's very conducive for comedy, because it's not in a sort of barn shed shape. It's actually in a kind of horseshoe amphitheatre shape, so it's much more conducive to comedy or performance. If you put the cameras in a place like that, they just sort of disappear into the darkness, and nobody knows they're there, really. And so you get a much more genuine reaction from people just going along to see a show. And then sort of the cameras are not really part of it. They don't impinge on the show. So you kind of compromise a little bit on the intimacy of the gig, but you gain in the fact that you get a really sort of relaxed and genuine crowd reaction.
And what about those people having affairs? Of course, they don't want to be photographed when you're with the person you're not married to.
That's true, yes. Well, there's a big disclaimer as you walk in. If you're having an affair, please hold this pixelated version of your face up.
I think last time we met, I ended up offending you because you'd got 6 phones, and I said the only people who have more than one phone are people having affairs. How's that going?
Yeah, I've got 11 phones now, and it's all still happily married. So there we go. Go figure.
What does Mrs. Bailey think about your job? Because it's not proper, is it, really?
It's not a proper job, no, you're right. It's a reckless, foolhardy way of making a profession, making a living. Well, the thing is, I try and incorporate the family as much as I can, and if I'm away on tour, then I'll try and get the family to come out for part of the tour, so we can, sort of hang out for a bit and then travel around and see wherever it is I'm playing in, and that can be fun. And it is hard because a lot of the time, if you're touring, you're away from home a lot, and it's a bit of a wrench. And also, you're staying in places, and I've done in hotels. That's why I've got the place done up as a hotel. So I go home.
You feel at home.
I feel at home, yeah.
And in terms of your status now within show business, I mean, you're at that point now where you're doing quite all right for yourself and you can afford to bring people on the road. Does it frustrate you sometimes that you've got to kind of keep working at a time when you want to enjoy yourself? Because let's face it, you can't take your foot off the accelerator for too long, or people might forget about you.
Yeah, that's right. And it's very much a sense of there's an expectation certainly of the standard of the comedy that you've built up and a reputation that you have, and also the fact that. But I mean, I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'm enjoying it now probably more than I have a bit at any time, and it's something I want to continue doing and focusing on, and there are certain yes, there are there's the sacrifices. You don't spend so much time at home, and I'm away a lot, and then when I am at home, I'm writing a lot of the time, and so there's the downside of it, but the upside of it is that I'm doing a job that I love to do, and in a way I'm kind of more relaxed about it than I think I've ever been, because I realise that this is what I'm supposed to do. This is kind of my
calling.
thing. This is my calling. And I don't have to worry too much. I just have to I can talk about subjects I want to talk about in the way that I want to do it and perform, and I can sing Lady Gaga songs in the style of the Wurzels. I mean, who do you know that says they can do that for a job? So
how would that go, for example?
What poker face? Poker face. And the best bit is it goes, I want it. And I love it. And it goes, there's a brilliant bit where he goes, hold him, let him hit me, baby, go with me. I love it. Looking intuition, play with space to start. And after he's been hooked, I play the when it's in his head. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'll get him out, show him what I've got.
The best thing you're most famous for at the BBC, of course, is turning our theme tune from the news into some big rave anthem.
Absolutely.
But when do these genius thoughts come into your head? You suddenly sat there one day and you think, oh, I know, cabbages and Venus, or something ludicrous.
Yeah, in fact, that's the name of my autobiography. Cabbages and Venus. A Life Story by Bill Bailey. And I actually, it was probably at 3 o'clock in the morning. I tend to be quite nocturnal when I'm writing shows or performing, because the thing is, we do a show, and you get such an adrenaline buzz from doing the show, and that's one of the things. It's very addictive doing performing, because you get this great adrenaline rush, and I come off stage about sort of maybe 10:30 or something, and you can't sleep at all for 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes, 1:30 in the morning. I've got to go to sleep. No, I can't. And so you'll watch the TV, you'll watch anything, and very often I'll be watching 24-hour news. And I remember one night I was just pacing around the flat, listening to the news, and thinking, God, this has got a good beat to it. Ding, 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 ding. And I started just doing a little bit of a rave dance, a little bit of a kind of voguing thing, and then I realised, oh, that's it. And then, but what's brilliant now, when I tour around the world, I was in Australia and somebody sent me their remix of my remix of the BBC with an even like a harder edged, like a hard dance edged sort of kind of tip to it. So yes, it's I think the thing is, I think that for me everything is up for grabs. You can't focus too narrowly on subjects, because comedy comes at you from every angle, and sometimes you don't even know where it's going to come from, and you have to sort of be ready for it.
Very finally, last time we spoke, you just walked away from the TV show BBC Two, and God, do we miss you.
Yes.
Any chance you could come back and save that car crash?
Well, you know what? I never say never. I mean, I loved doing the panel shows, and for a while, and they were great fun. And then I realised that actually there was something more I wanted to do than that was, perform, and I couldn't. There was just, the BBC were quite intransigent about it anyway, and they just said, well, can you do it? And I said, well, I spent a year planning this orchestra show. And which has actually, not to blow my own trumpet and not to use a trumpet metaphor in an orchestra-based story, but it has won a number of international awards. So I sort of feel vindicated that I actually then went ahead and almost took a big risk, really, in a way, because comedy in orchestra is not always the best bedfellows, but this was something I sort of really believed in, and I think sometimes you've got to do that. You take a risk on something, you take a risk on yourself, you bet on yourself when you think that you believe in something, and then that creates almost like there's another world of performance and stuff which is, I can see stretching off in the future where I'm going to do more shows like that. I do my stand-up shows, and I'll be doing music shows as well, and they take an enormous amount of time and work and effort, but it's about the love of the job, really, and that's above everything else.
Well, I thought you were tremendous at it, and it was a brilliant DVD. I sat there and watched it over Christmas with my mum and dad, and it was just so interesting, and the things you think of that the instruments relate to, again, only your brain, but somehow it works.
Yes, well, that's it, and that's kind of, in a way, that sort of sums up really my whole career. I can't, how's it going to, it works somehow. There's a kind of, ever since I was at school, I'd see things in a slightly different way or a different light, or I'd come at them from a different angle, and yet, it somehow it works, because I think what it is, it's a genuine reaction. I'd love to. I was completely blown away the first time I went to see an orchestra play live, and there was something I couldn't explain about it, and I think that it's taken all these years for me to get to that situation where I can explain what it makes you feel when you hear music. It's very difficult, and if you look, and when I was sort of researching the show, there's always this kind of through history, writers, poets have all tried to sort of capture the essence of what that is. Thomas Carlyle said that listening to music was like looking into infinity, and I suppose that was a very sort of lyrical way, but in a way, it's the same problem. How do you describe it? It's something which is abstract music. It comes at you from a sort of an abstract angle, and yet it engenders great feeling, great emotions in you. And how does it do that? And that's what fascinated me about the show. That's why I wanted to try and pursue it and sort of almost to replicate what it is like to experience listening to an orchestra, and not from the point of view of someone who perhaps used to go and see concerts, and it's all become very, very, almost they're used to it. It's a very familiar situation. I wanted to try and break away from that familiar and actually encourage people to go and see it. And one of the greatest, most rewarding things about the whole experience was getting letters from people saying that kids they want to go and take up an instrument. Kids saw the DVD, they loved it, they want to take up an orchestral instrument. And for me, that's the greatest reward in all of this.
I loved it. You nailed it, and it was really entertaining. I look forward to seeing the new DVD, which is called
Dandelion Mind.
We won't even ask about that because we've got to go. Your people are texting me saying, can you let him shut up so we can go on? Bill Bailey, I love you very much. Let's talk next year.
Ta-ta.